but I can feel it. It's like it has to go to weakness first, and then I have to recover it to like show people that you can or something. I don't know. There's a bigger thing to it than just his seeing like, oh, you need to become a bodybuilder. But it's so like all these years, it's like I know I'm going to go through this period of being weak, and maybe it's now where I'm just being so bombarded by energy. But I always felt like I wish I wouldn't even had that piece of information from him, because it's fucked with my head. It's like I keep having to find new ways to clear it out of there. It's like don't put that down in my head. I know exactly what I'm doing here, and it's fine.
And that's something I have to deal with too. Because as bad as my body is, the last 2 times you've seen me, I'm clear as a bell.
So you're good.
I'm very happy and
very.
My body is.
I never worried about your happiness.
Great.
But I don't know what your heart's doing. We've taken those long walks, and sometimes you're like, oh shit, I gotta walk more. I gotta exercise. Like the Butterfly Hill. Remember that one?
Oh, going back to Casey's point, with my body, if I started working out and lost like 50 pounds and worked out, I'd be like, wow, because I have the strength of Taurus.
Yes.
And I have it. It's just I don't ever use it, and it kills me.
You're in the smoke. There you go.
You
were directly in the dirt.
Well, he might just need some clearing. Might
I'm
need
actually
smoke no matter
loving
where
it.
he stands.
Yeah, seriously, it would just fall. See, look. But yeah, I don't know, and I feel like you. I think at some point I'm going to get it and like start living more healthy and eating the right food and exercising, and it might be tomorrow. I don't know when it will be, but it's going to happen. I guarantee it, and it's probably going to happen in the next 10 years. Is what I think.
Good.
So I'm not really worried about it. Now I've almost died several times from my asthma and taking the wrong medicines and not wanting to live.
Could you potentially get off of regular man-made medicines, do you think?
I think if I really decided that's what I wanted to do, I could.
Or you really researched it.
Yeah.
There's something natural that would provide whatever it is that you need.
There are natural remedies for everything, and I've done a lot of that. With my esophagus, I went down that road from 1988 to 1995 with my esophagus got eaten up by Barrett's esophagus with acid reflux. This was before Prilosec and before all the stuff we have now, and by the time I knew it, it already damaged my esophagus to the point really of no return. But I explored every herbal remedy. I've explored acupuncture, I explored chiropractic, I explored everything else to get that taken care of. And I literally would have to swallow these tubes. They would lube them up and they'd numb the back of my throat, and they'd start with a small one, get bigger and bigger, and there was about 8 tubes that I had to swallow to open my esophagus because I didn't want surgery. I wanted to cure myself without surgery. Well, I went to a trip. I took a trip to the Bahamas on a 6-foot sailboat, and I didn't have to do the tubes anymore. So I knew there was some kind of relaxation connection, but I still had the problem. So I suffered not being able to sleep because reflux will wake you up in the middle of the night, blah, blah, blah. I suffered with that. I finally had the operation, and it was golden. Took care of it. And I realized that sometimes it's just beyond you. You need to let medical science take care of your problems for you. Sometimes.
Do you ever have it repeat? Because OSHA's got this acid reflux formula. Did she
gave it to me.
Does it work?
I haven't used it. I hadn't needed to. I hadn't had reflux in. I've had it maybe 2 times in the last year. But they did surgery. They tied my stomach up and made a new sphincter muscle with my stomach. It's called Nissan fundoplication.
What a great word.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Nissan fundoplication.
Sounds like some auto dealership. Like a party at an auto dealership, right?
Yeah.
Like we're gonna.
They do it every Friday night.
Yeah. At the Nissan dealership, they're gonna have a really fun party, and sell lots of cars.
Okay, guys, before it gets much colder, I want to go lay on that thing and look up at the stars.
Okay.
Is that cool?
Do you have a blanket out there, or what do we?
I don't know. What do you want to do?
Actually,
There's a picnic table. We can just lay on the picnic table.
No.
Picnic table is what I'm thinking.
Okay. Because I also have something else that might work.
Where's our other lights? Can I lay down?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, ouch.
As soon as everybody gets down, I'm going to take the light off. Or no, I can just turn it off, can't I?
Yeah. Underneath. Look at this. How about this, kitties? Stacey, this reminds you of something
Yes.
like Colorado?
Yes. Yeah, I hope we see some satellites or shooting stars. That'd be great.
Look at the tree.
Oh my God, look how big they are. Even at night.
Hey. I'll keep it on for a second. Cuddle up.
Oops.
Take a look at the tree for a second.
Look, it's like a window to the universe. It's our window.
Casey, check out the tree there. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Someone turn off the bathroom light.
It is very annoying, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not too bad. Could be worse.
You can
I
see
mean,
the
really,
stars
all we had to do
clearly.
was
now.
be behind the tree and really not seeing it.
Look how happy we are.
Man, there's a million stars up there.
Oh my God. I do have another yellow hooded sweater. Do you need that, Casey?
No, I'm fine.
Your ears
I
are
got
fine?
hair, yeah.
Stacey, I don't think it fits you though.
I'm fine.
But it's got a hood. We could cut off the hood, and you could just wear like little Red
I'd
Riding
rather
Hood.
wear the Arabic headdress made of,
a towel,
The shirt.
yeah, or a t-shirt, like I was doing earlier.
a t-shirt.
Oh man, this is good.
You know what this reminds me of? That deck of cards that I have. That Lynn Andrews Power deck. It has, like things like the pool of water looks like that.
Actually,
Or the inside of a cave looks like that.
it reminds me of the first night that Stacey ever camped in his life.
Yep.
He and I are in the middle of absolutely nowhere, and in Colorado at a really high point. And we were pretty ballsy to go where we went to for
Yeah, it was crazy.
introduction to camping. We went like right to the edge of where pro campers go, and we did. We went for it.
Yep.
And we're laying up there, and I have it on videotape. We're laying up there staring at the stars, and it was so beautiful and big. Colorado, we're at the top of the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks up and goes, oh, what is that? You see it moving? And it was a satellite.
I had no idea. Never seen
I
it.
had never seen him either until that
Oh.
moment. Never seen a satellite. It was awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. And so I'm eager for a satellite to come whizzing by here.
You know what's cool? Bruce actually knows what the satellites are.
Yeah, some
Like one
people-
night we're looking and he goes, oh, that's got to be blah, blah, blah. Then he went onto the computer and checked it real fast and came back and was like, yeah, that's what it is.
Wow.
Yeah, he follows the NASA website about what's going on in astronomy all the time.
I
so-
love the astronomy. A picture of the day is one of my favorite
Yeah.
websites. You can learn so much. There's so much to
Mhm.
learn about space we don't know.
And there's so much for me to learn that everybody else knows but me.
Oh, I'm bad at it too.
I really
There's
want
so
to
much to
do
know.
sometime soon. I want to do an astronomy class because it's funny to be an astrologer and be missing more of that information.
Yeah.
It's so silly.
They go hand in hand.
It's the same thing,
Yep.
but I just have never taken the time to do it.
It's like being religious and also being a scientist.
It's almost like I did this in other lifetimes, like the scientific part.
Yep.
And this time I just want to tell people about it.
Sometimes you can definitely learn stuff from too much knowledge. But I think at this point, it wouldn't hurt to know something more. You know what I mean?
That's how I learned, like the way I learned astrology was just like this.
Mm-hmm.
I did this every night for, I don't know, 6 months, 3 months really. And I just downloaded. I let each star tell me what, so I would pick out a star or a constellation and I would just spend the night with it and it would just tell me what I needed to know. So almost everything I know about astrology I got from those guys, not from books.
That's awesome.
I had some books that came to me that gave me like markers and milestones to hang the information on.
Mm-hmm.
But mostly it came from the sky.
I had one amazing night 2 or 2.5 years ago. It was summertime. We went to Sequoias and camped out on top of a mountain where you're not supposed to go. It was like one of the service roads, and we went to the end of the service road. Now all the campgrounds were full, and they had bear warnings everywhere. And Angela and I go to the top of the service road.
Oh, I remember you telling about this.
It was on top of the mountain.
wonderful.
It was so beautiful. The stars were like right there. We're in the middle of this road. To the right of us, like where Casey is, like another 6 inches is a cliff that goes straight down.
Wow.
And you can hear the water at the bottom of the valley. It was like Grand Canyon. You could hear the water down there. And we were at the top of the mountain. And to the left of us, we're laying on the road where the road ended. And to the left of us was just some massive trees going up. But you could see all these ridiculous stars, and you could see like the Milky Way, of course, and the Northern Lights, where you could barely see like there was action going on. And it happened to be on a day that it was like a full moon or an eclipse. It was some weird
I forget what it was.
astrology
Something
thing.
special though.
There was something going on, and we had no idea.
And you guys
And
didn't
so-
know, but you came back, and I was like, whoa,
With an
good
incredible
boy.
experience. It was like Mars or something.
Oh, was it the meteor shower too? Something like that?
Or a lunar eclipse. It was something weird.
Was it where all
but-
7 of those planets were aligned?
But
I forget what it was.
but we
You could
ended
almost
up.
look it up and see.
Well, I've got the video of that night, and we ended up. I had never done this ever in my life. Because we're just the two of us there. There's nobody around, and we go up to the top. It was warm. Go up to the top of this mountain, and there's nothing to do. So we just get naked and lay down on this blanket like this, and it's warm enough to just be totally naked. And the moon's over there. And 10 hours later, we're still watching the moon. It's over there or whatever. We get to watch it the whole way across and watch all the stars moving. And I had never done that.
Cool.
This whole amazing experience. Have you ever done it for 10 hours or 12 hours? But I kept
Probably not that long, no.
I kept waking up. Like every hour I'd wake up and like see the moon moved and see everything moved. And then go back to sleep.
Oh, you mean, yeah,
and
I've
wake
done
up,
that.
and
We
then,
sleep outside
you know,
in the desert often.
It was so awesome to see it moving across.
Are you guys going to come out to the desert while Stacey's here?
Our first priority this week is get some music recorded. I think we ought to get that behind us and then make the decision.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
Because then the goal is accomplished.
Well, you're welcome to come out there if you want to soak and be warm. And
Probably next weekend. Yeah. But wow, what an experience.
It's so funny to look at these stars and realize how petty our differences here on Earth are.
Yeah.
I mean, think about all the civilizations and craziness that are out there that we're just unaware of.
Yeah, I have a friend who does amazing past life readings, and she's done a lot of them for me, and it was really cool. Like almost every past life where I had a crisis, the thing that got me through it was laying down on the ground, and I'd look up at the sky and I'd remember who I really was. And I'd remember what I knew from other lifetimes about astrology.
Right.
And then it'd be just like shaking my head, and it's like, oh shit, right. And then the lifetime would go on, and I'd get through the crisis.
I think a human civilization might be equivalent to like an Eskimo. And Eskimos didn't know anybody else existed outside of themselves for the longest time because they couldn't get anywhere.
Right.
And so all of a sudden they probably went, oh, there's a whole nother world.
Have
out
you ever
there.
seen The Fast Runner?
No.
No, I've never
Oh
seen
my
that.
God! You
Is that a
gotta
good
see
movie?
it. Oh my God! It's a contemporary film made of an Inuit legend.
Oh, I've heard this. I've heard
Oh
this.
my God! But you know, it's like that's not true. They knew there were other people around there. They talked to them all the time. They could see them in their visions. You know, it's like we think that people evolved. You know, like they were ignorant in the past, but it wasn't like that at all. It was different. But that movie really shows you what that lifestyle is like. You know, like things move so slow and they don't talk. You know, like they aren't chatty and mental like we are. They're just, it's a whole other reality. And that movie catches that other reality in such a powerful way.
That'd be cool to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you just have to surrender to slowing down your life so that you can get through that movie. And you think about 15 minutes into it, you think you are going to die if you have to sit there the whole time.
Wow.
But it's a truly profound experience of that Aboriginal lifestyle that isn't about the mind.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I want to give you a couple facts for this. The nearest star is 8 light years away,
Yeah.
meaning it takes 8 years for the light to travel and to hit
Mhm.
our eyes.
Right.
Now, light travels at 196,000 miles
Right.
per second.
Mm-hmm.
196,000
Right.
miles
Isn't
a
it?
second.
Right.
How many seconds are in a year?
Yeah. A lot.
And then how many years for the light to hit our eyes? Wow, that's a big barrier to overcome, being able to travel to
Well,
that nearest star.
we're not going to travel via spaceship. We're going to have to figure out dimensional and time travel
Do you think that's
do it.
coming in after 2012?
if we evolve.
Physically or non-physically?
Yeah, it's not a not.
I mean,
it can't
it
be a
already
physical.
happens, but
Yeah.
I think what you're talking about is the physical body going in its densest state.
Yeah.
Let's talk about 2012. What do you think of that, Casey?
Do you mean what do I think the transition from the changing times to peace will look like?
Well, what do you think the date? Do you think that date's accurate?
No.
I don't
I
either.
think that time has sped up, and I think we're 3 years ahead.
I think
I think it's actually going to be 2009, and it may be even speeding up
I
more
was
than that.
thinking. Yeah, I think 2007, 2009.
Yeah, I think we've got about another year and a half of really intensity, and then I think we're going to be almost through it.
Yeah. And there's something about the 2012 that's always rung hollow with me,
Uh-huh.
and it's probably exactly what you're saying. But also, I don't see the purpose for having the date certain on in any way, because I think things will just happen.
Here's one thing that I have been made aware of, and that is that during, and I actually think it happened during medieval times, like in the last 1,000 years, when we were perfecting sorcery lifetimes.
Mm-hmm.
And it also may have been the cycle previous to, like, during King Arthur's time. But during a previous time when we had perfected the sorcery components of manipulation of the illusion of reality,
Right.
we saw what was going to happen during this time that we live in right now. And we saw how difficult it was going to be, and we didn't know that there was going to be further evolution, and so we thought it was going to really be hard.
Right.
And so we put these, they're almost like anchors.
Apocalyptic anchors.
No, this is a different concept.
Oh, okay.
We put these anchors out, we shot these energy lines forward at a time, and we locked them in there so that it would give us some place to go toward. It was almost like a tractor beam pulling us through this hard time.
Mm-hmm.
And I have worked with so many people to disengage that component. And especially from 95 to 97, almost everybody that came to me had to have that dismantled. And my job was to stand there and look them in the eye, take that out of their energy field and say, you made it. Because they were geared, they were like overshooting to try to make it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what 2012 is about. It was the point of overshot that we chose in order to make sure we could make it through this time. And now I think the main mass of people is just starting to recognize this overshot component, and it's about 3 years. Right now it's about 3 years. It could be even more as time speeds up.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know time was going to speed up so fast.
Time is totally sped up.
We saw time just as a linear component. We didn't see it as a relativity.
Yeah. And you know, the way I look at time is the eye on the top of the pyramid. When it looks down, the base widens,
Mm-hmm.
because that's our conception of time, where the reality is that tip of the pyramid. You see what I'm saying?
It's only a point. It's
only
not a
point.
shape. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think, you know, I've never known I've never thought about the exact component like you. I just know that the 2012, that I think people need to get it now. And don't worry so much about the dates or what will happen.
Yeah.
I think that some people are misdirected in that way, because what happens if 2012 comes and nothing happens, or what happens if it comes
like
in 2007? Yeah, just like 2000. Then you have a lot of lost faith, and you know, that's my only fear.
Well, almost the only reason it matters is because the Mayans happen to be the timekeepers. You know,
Yep.
It's like if the Mayans didn't exist, it wouldn't matter.
Yep.
It's a funny
Because we
thing.
wouldn't even know. We wouldn't even be aware.
Yeah.
What do you think about?
There was Shooting Star.
What do you think about the?
Could I say one more thing on that topic
Yes,
before you move on?
I'm sorry.
I was aware today at one point, watching the lineup of people, all of a sudden I saw the cultural gift that each one of them was the messenger for. And I saw the cultures standing. I saw them as the focal point of the cultural gift through time. It was so cool. But it was very much connected to what we're talking about with two.
At night, trees.
Go ahead. Yeah.
At night, trees are actually sucking in the energy of the earth and sucking in everything around it. So, if you want energy from them, the best time to do it is during the day, and they're giving out energy. That's the life of trees, energy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just how the cycle works. But being around them and touching them and looking at them at night's great. Just don't. I think to like lay against them, that's a daytime thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me.
That makes sense.
They're pretty magical, these trees.
Mm-hmm.
They're very happy to be in the national forest.
And
Where
they're
they
very
get
interactive.
Yeah, they're playing with each other. They're good times.
I almost want to take every bit of light I have and beam it up there and shoot a video for a minute of just the tree at night.
Okay.
You know, because manufactured light, man-made light with nature. You know what I mean? And just shoot like 2 minutes of video with the stillness. Stillness of the floodlight, because it's like, who else has bright lights? in nature.
Guys, I hate to disappoint, but I'm probably gonna go to bed soon.
Crash out. Go for it. Is your bed all cozy and ready to go?
Not really, but it will be when I run out. All the parts are there in various stages of disarray, just like my real bed.
And notice
He's gonna feel right about it.
and notice I give the guy with asthma the thing he's gonna blow up.
I'm not gonna do it.
It's like
I just laid that on the
it's
floor.
like sending the drowning man
A glass of water?
a life preserver that he has to blow up. Or a glass of water. Drowning man, a glass of water.
My asthma's been fairly good.
Good.
This asthma reliever, even though it's really bad for you, it's really good. So like, whereas the other one, I would probably end up doing it 4 or 5 times a day. I've only done it twice.
Oh.
I mean, it's just
The good news and the bad news,
yeah,
right?
exactly. It's very bad for your body, and it's very good for asthma.
Actually, can I read to you what the highlights were for
Yeah.
today? Because I wanted to say that.
As long as you promise to burn those pages afterwards.
Okay. Yes. My favorite one was I overheard Wavy Gravy up there, and
Oh, sorry, I missed you
and he
see
goes,
him.
"All right, I want everybody to spell why," and everybody, "Why?"
Oh, I heard that.
You.
I heard that.
U-M. What's that spell? Yum. I want you to all remember to eat dessert first. I thought it was great. Eat dessert, and Cheese Boy had eat dessert first as his motto. You know, yum, and so that made a big impression on me. Of course, Wavy Gravy has a flavor named after him at Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah.
And then, so the next one was be your own leader. Think for yourself.
Yeah, that was good.
You know, be thankful and enjoy every day. And then the next one was help yourself first, then help others.
That's
Same thing.
so important.
And then find light within darkness.
But somehow, when he said it, he said, enjoy the day, which is very different than enjoy every day.
And
You know, it's the difference between being in the moment.
Yeah, I wrote
and
enjoy the
being
day.
An idea.
yeah,
I love the way he said it.
yeah,
Yeah.
enjoy the day. You're right. Be thankful. Enjoy the day.
No, it wasn't be thankful. It was give gratitude
Well, he said be
and
thankful.
enjoy the day.
I'll change it.
You may have said be thankful somewhere along in there, but it's different. It's that same thing. It's the difference between doing something and just be it
Being.
now. And I loved his choice of words because he didn't have to say anything about be it now. Just the choice of words dialed it right in.
All right.
You know something that's important, and you've talked about this, and I want Brian to get this too, and everybody to get it eventually. Not that you know. When I took Kabbalah, it was in 2001. I guess I started or 2000, and I took it thinking, oh wow, I'm gonna learn all this stuff, and I'll know it by heart, and I'll learn the lesson, and I'll be the smartest kid on the block. You know, that type of thought line. Like, you know, she has all the evolutions in there. She has all the astrology that you would ever need. She knows it all, and it's all in this book. And she told us first day, you're not going to know this intellectually at all. Don't even think
Don't even
about it.
try.
So I poo-pooed that. No, I'm going to learn. I'm going to learn the astrology. I'm going to learn the evolution. So when we have these talks, I can tell you. Blah, blah, blah. The first spiritual lesson was, none of that matters. You're not going to learn it intellectually. You're just not going to know anything. You're going to read this and know it for 2 seconds, and then it's going to go away.
Yeah.
But it's being present in the moment that's important. It's not
Yeah.
the knowledge of all these past lives and Lemurian and Atlian, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
I
just
mean,
about being in it at the moment so that your responses are instinctual and full
That's it.
and whole.
And that's what I learned.
Yeah.
And that's what everybody, and that's Gus talking, you know, being present in the day and giving gratitude. You know, when you're getting your butt kicked, give gratitude because you're getting a lesson there, you know? And so there's to me, there's this whole, and it's so hard. It's just be, not do, not doing, not goal, not any of that. Just
Yeah.
be. You know? But it's a very hard. Patience was my first altar was patience. You know.
It's so hard
It's
to
very
just
difficult.
let it happen
Mm-hmm.
that nothing's happening.
Mm-hmm.
God.
Did I tell you that the guy Bhagavan Das, which is Ram Dass's guru,
Right.
came over to the house and sang on my album?
Oh, cool.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I met him. I met him at a, of course, a Jewish restaurant,
Right.
like a little deli.
Uh-huh.
And I sit down, and I wasn't even in my chair yet. I was just shook his hand, and I just went to sit down. And he said, "You're coming to India with me in November."
Wow. Are you going?
I said, "I am. Sure, I'll come." And he said, "No, you've got a videotape."
Awesome.
Oh, okay, sure. But, we haven't made any contact since then. So then he comes over and sings on the album, and he sings, "Be Here
Mm.
Now."
Mm.
He's got this amazing
Wow.
resonance to his voice, and then he does this tone thing.
We saw that today. The
Oh,
throat singers.
you won't believe his tone thing. No, he turns into like an ancient, mumbly old man, like in a cave, and it comes out of him that way in this different tone, and then he goes back into talking. It's like where'd you get that? And it's something coming through him, and
That's
he's
awesome.
happy and full of love and goofy, and he overcame alcohol recently, like in the past 2 years, and since then he's like awakened even more.
Wow.
So he's had to overcome plenty of his own problems.
Yeah.
But
We all have our own problems.
if he's in LA, I would love for you to meet him.
Oh,
And
that'd
obviously
be great.
you too, Casey. But he's sweet, jovial, and I got a nice interview with him too.
That's awesome.
Everybody
Everybody has their own problems to overcome.
Oh, even Dalai Lama. And,
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
you know,
The Dalai Lama has that series on forgiveness.
mhm.
Brilliant.
He was in LA this past week.
The stories that he tells of the people who had been, locked away for years and that had total forgiveness for their guards, and I mean, it's one of the most powerful things I've ever heard.
Nelson Mandela.
Well, and he had that too.
Oh.
I haven't studied that much, but I know he had it too.
Yeah.
But incredible power in that.
I have a cousin, like distant cousin, who's in San Francisco that did that same thing. They made an incredible film on the Vietnam guys
Mhm.
that were in that one Hanoi Hilton. And,
Yeah.
and the guards, he brought them together before they destroyed the Hanoi Hilton at the Hanoi Hilton. And they
Wow.
all had forgiveness for each other.
That's
they all
awesome.
had love for each other. And he's got it on tape.
Wow,
And
That's
no one wants it. It's never been distributed.
that's crazy.
It's crazy.
Well, that's 80%.
on the Vietnam guys
Mhm.
that were in that one Hanoi Hilton.
Yeah.
And the guards, he brought them together before they destroyed the Hanoi Hilton at the Hanoi Hilton. And they
Wow.
all had forgiveness for each other.
That's
they all
awesome.
had love for each other. And he's got it on tape.
Wow,
And
That's
no one wants it. It's never been distributed.
that's crazy.
It's crazy.
Well, that's 80% darkness. I mean, it's a propaganda war.
Yeah, right.
Messages like that are getting squelched left and right,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and then
Well,
Burger
yeah.
King's commercials out there.
You know what?
Yeah, right.
You know what? If we go back through San Francisco, we might stop and see him for a minute and pick up a bunch of tapes.
Yeah. Get him out.
Yeah. Yeah, because he offered them to me about a month
The only
ago.
goal I have for tomorrow is to get home at nighttime.
Yeah.
Is that doable?
Yeah.
Yeah, and relatively early. I mean, I don't want to
Yeah.
roll in at midnight.
I agree.
I'd
It'll be
rather
midnight.
roll in.
I'm thinking 8.
We're 10 hours away minimum.
Oh, that's right. We're way further
Yeah,
north.
we're
I forgot.
way. If we get up early and crack, we could get there decent, but,
Yeah, but-
we won't.
We won't, because we need to go out to the ocean to Sebastopol, and you guys really need to meet Barry.
So there you go.
He's going to be.
We're not going to make it.
Something's going to.
But if we could just make it at nighttime,
Guys.
I'd be happy with that.
Okay, I'll surrender.
Guys, it'll be 3 in the morning. I'm okay for driving the whole way, or if you guys want to drive, you're welcome
can
to.
help.
Whatever you want to do. But
You've been with me. I'm okay.
Okay.
And I'm not going to do something stupid. You know that.
Midnight would be better, but
Yeah.
if we don't make it, that's okay.
No, we're going to enjoy our day.
Yeah, let's enjoy our day, but we'll just have to get up and get cracking as soon as we can. Like we did. We did good this morning.
So that means we should probably go to bed?
Were you through with the story?
What story?
What you were saying that we need to know?
Yeah, that was it. Just being that intellectual knowledge doesn't matter. Just being here,
Yeah.
present.
Yeah.
Can I give you one last little bit,
Yeah.
which I was almost on? Find the light within darkness. Open our minds and hearts. Love everything in the universe. This is not the end of the earth. It's just a new age of light. Get together and unite our thoughts, actions, and words. And then the other one was, when there is no them, there will only be us.
That's true now.
Yeah.
People need to grab that now.
Yeah, yeah,
Because there are no them. There is only us.
yeah.
We create the world.
Right.
We create the world we're living in. Projections of thoughts, and it's powerful.
Mhm.
And we're all responsible for the world. Everyone is. And that's the bad and the good.
I suspect that the Buddhists are going to be the last ones to let go of the structure of spirituality because they've been holding it for so long and it works so well and they have a really good one.
When they're totally detached.
Yeah, and I suspect that I'm going to be the last one to let go of the idea that the reptiles are cool. Because it's been my job to make sure they were
And you know what?
in balance.
I'm
So
one of the first ones to embrace them and realize what they were doing. I know what
Yeah.
they're doing. I mean,
So you're her teacher on that.
maybe. I think
I don't
she-
think we're teaching each other. I think
Yeah.
we just hold two different pieces of that puzzle.
Yeah, I think we're just in different spectrums of looking at them. And I was definitely.
My
I don't
job,
know.
my job in this lifetime was to even the playing field
Well, and that's yeah.
because they were
You're-
way out of balance.
You know what you're doing? You were holding the little bit that you could for the earth against them because it's way out of balance. They're
Yeah.
very powerful. My view on them and for everything, and a lot of times I say things and I think they strike people really odd, but darkness, this one that said find light in darkness, it's to me it's not really like that. It's darkness gives you the more dark, the more light, and the more challenge, the more evil, the more everything, the more learning potential to go there like this. So I see almost hand in hand. So if you let go of the hatred and let go of their evil and realize that they are something to overcome, up. So that's why I view everything. And I see the purpose for.
Because your hatred towards them gives them power.
Oh, absolutely. If me and you get in a fight, not physical but verbal, and I let my hatred of you or what you said overtake me, I foam at the mouth and I spit and I get angry and I lose the argument right then
Well,
and there.
Stace, the big one was you were in the room whenever the energy, I was hating that energy that was in the room with us, and you were both saying it, and you both went, innocence and fearlessness.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was my gift.
Mm-hmm.
You guys gave me a great gift. Thank you.
And that's the whole deal, is let go of the hatred and anger and just overcome.
Mm-hmm.
You know, see it as an obstacle, not an enemy, an obstacle. Because you can argue with anybody and leave disagreeing, yet still respect each other. You know, and they might change their mind 20 years, or you might change your mind. I know I have about several things.
Okay,
You
so
know?
you're okay right now?
Pluto, yeah, I'm just
Are you tired, or are you
No,
having
I'm
an
just
issue?
tracking with what you're doing.
Okay.
I mean, there's some, it's like it's a huge topic. It's not
yeah.
2 or 3 sound bites, so it's not. I mean, I'm just tracking with what's on the table right now, and just feeling like it's not necessary say anything I know about the topic at the moment.
Yeah.
Because it's really not the topic of hand. It's really about the other stuff we're talking about. I mean, it's about the overview of the pattern. It's not
Right.
about those.
Oh, individual
Beings,
things don't
yeah,
matter
yeah,
at all,
so-
and reptiles don't matter at all. And
Yeah,
whole,
so I just wasn't going
to me, it's
down
just
that
let
road.
go of any kind of like view of it as some kind of immortal battle, and see it as opportunity.
Well, is some of that that I don't know, that we've been in a dualistic society here forever. Is what we're going to come out with on the other end potentially less dualistic or not non-dualistic, or?
Well, there's a predecessor, I think, to the consciousness that's coming, and it's how there's in the yin there's that seed of the yang.
Yes, yes.
Well, it's that way with this changing of the age too. It's like the seed was there a long time ago, and I mean thousands of years ago, several thousand years ago, before the great book burning in China, there was a book written on the Tai Chuan Ching, which is the I Ching is a magic cube. I mean a magic square. You know what I mean by that? Where it's a pattern of numbers, and if you add them up in any direction, including the diagonals, it's the same, and it's a relationship to pi and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
The Tai Chuan Ching is based on a magic cube.
Which has extra dimensions.
Yeah. So
Yep.
so where the I Ching is an oracle in 2 dimensions to help you live in the third, the Tai Chuan Ching is an oracle in 3 dimensions to help you live in 5.
There you go.
And that seed came in, like BC in China. But the books were burned during the Great Book Burning. And there only exist three copies. One that it's not an original, but it seems to be a copy of the original. And the other 2 are commentaries from a later version. And neither one is complete. So it's, that seed of the consciousness of where we're going. And the Tai Chuan Ching is, it's the cube, it's the 4, it's all the consciousness of understanding the 4 system. But it comes through the consciousness of the 3, which is our creativity, and it leads you to the 5th dimension. So, or the 5th dimensional reality is as good a term as any. So, so I think that seed got planted, and it's been growing, and it's, and the fullness of that concept or that shift in the dimensional realities will be our working with a trinary system. And the QXCI is the beginning of synthesized trinary consciousness, technologically synthesized. And the fact that we have an example of that's been created it says that we're much further along the path, I think, than people think we are, because it does exist.
What are the 3 levels? Mind, body, spirit?
No, it's a trivector system, so the computer is analyzing instead of on-off, yes-no bits of information and tracking down a single path with 2 choices at every juncture. It's a trinary system. So the computer is using 3 bodies of information at every point. And those, using a trivector system allows the computer to begin to present consciousness. So the computer will actually give you messages. It will actually communicate with you.
I think that's almost already happening. I think that our brains are being prepared for that through the flicker rate of your screens.
Oh, that's a great example of it.
It's exactly what's happening.
You know what?
Your brain waves are changing.
You know what changed also with that recently was the LEDs are not flickering like the old ones. Now, our electricity system runs at 60 cycles, so we get 30 frames blinking
Right.
at us. In Europe, it's half that. Not half that, but 25 frames.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's 50 cycles electricity. They've got a lower frequency.
Right.
In all throughout Europe, PAL.
Mm-hmm.
And so the computer monitors didn't flick at 30 frames. A lot of those are 75 hertz,
Right.
85 hertz. That's why when you watch those old computer monitors, it drives you fucking crazy. Get me off this computer.
Yeah.
But you get on a laptop, and you can look at it longer because it's a LED.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
How much is it flickering at?
It's not. It's an
It's
LED.
constant.
It's constant. Whereas a TV goes da-da-da-da-da-da-da. When you watch TV in a dark room, turn off the lights, turn off the TV, and turn off the TV, and then close your eyes, and
Right.
you'll still see it
Okay.
flicker.
But I have a little bit different take on how I would say that. I would say that what that flicker did is forced us to learn how to deal with a binary reality, and because that was the key to the reptiles' control of us, we had to learn how they were controlling us. And a lot of humans have just gotten lost in the fray on that one. They're just glued to the TV. They didn't get through it. But a lot of people did figure out to turn off the TVs because the brain was getting pulled into their frequency bands.
Yep. Oh, I agree with you totally. But I think that part of the computer was preparing us for that thing you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I think that everybody who uses computer heavily, their brainwaves have been changed. They've been altered to go up. And it was, once again, a master plan that we were unaware of.
Yeah.
To change frequency.
It's like the problem backfired into this great tool.
Exactly.
It's almost as if we're immune to it, just like being exposed to disease.
Oh,
makes your immune
that's
system-
exactly.
Yeah.
That's how we grew up.
desensitization
Exactly.
process.
That's how we impress. So we're ready for the next thing, which is what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Hey, we need to put all the food up,
What
don't
do
we?
you think the
Yeah,
next
we
thing
do.
is?
But I think it should go in the car.
What do you think the next thing is?
Well, getting back to your original question of the duality, the next thing is possibly seeing the no boundaries, seeing the one, and understanding the concept of that.
Well, it kind of has to be, or we're toast.
Yeah, that's kind of the evolutionary, and that
And
goes
people
back to
have
the
to get those
collective
tools.
and everybody knowing their purpose in the collective and fulfilling it.
I've shown you the dollar bill thing with the pyramid on the back, and explained to you what Ziggy Marley taught me, right?
You probably showed it to me. I don't remember.
Which was, Ziggy said that his father Bob taught him that that the all-seeing eye is God, and that if you stand on one side of the pyramid, you see God in your own individual way. You might call God Jesus, and then on another side of the pyramid, you see God in a different way.
What else is
Buddha, or Allah or whatever.
That was what I started out the conversation with.
But I'm sure I've told you that, because he told me that in 92 or something like that, 1992.
I don't remember that.
And it made a profound effect on me that God looks down on everyone equally, and
absolutely.
and so all is one, and one heart. One heart was Bob's, and so that had an effect on me. That was his moment of that, and I remember the moment he told me that.
Right.
We were alone in this back room at 16th Avenue South.
I think that, well, in case you said it right, if we don't learn that, we're toast. I think that that's the obvious next step, and that's why the old energy is resisting it so much, is because they're grounded in duality and the binary. You know?
Yeah, and it's so easy to maintain, really.
Oh, it is. It's almost.
It's such a simple consciousness.
It doesn't challenge you to think. You don't have to think. You know? You don't have to emote. You don't have to do anything. You just let that reality take over. So let's start putting food up.
Actually, go ahead and go to bed.
Yeah, Stacey and I are fine.
Yeah.
We're having a great time.
I've got to go take medicine before I sleep, so let me go do that.
Yeah.
No, we don't need help.
Mental health.
I actually have most of the food already assembled in this little bag.
That's crazy. That's my water. That's my water. Mine. Not yours, mine. You binary duelist.
I was wondering at conferences, there's a particularly odd
Right.
it was the day before we opened, without the red carpet period, the entire staff came for a meeting the day before and I'm thinking, oh, I need some help here. So I can help myself. So they coupled up to the meeting in the house. And I understand they took the fact that one of the employees of the business and buying sanitize was announced to them yesterday in a 5-hour meeting that they weren't inside.
Right.
So we spent
Dude.
I was going nuts. I was just like, hey.
Oh my god. I had a friend just like that. He was in a band and he was a pedal steel player. And they called him in, they had a practice one day where the whole practice was discussing whether they wanted to be with us. And it emotionally tore him up.
Oh yeah, it was
I
totally.
was like, oh, how cruel.
I walked away eventually, and I said, and I was just pissed. It's like, you guys are gonna sit here, and the next thing on the agenda is you to decide if you're gonna be loyal to me enough for us to open the business tomorrow. If not, you got a big day ahead of you. And meanwhile,
Why did
I'm
this-
gonna go unload the fucking geraniums from that truck. So pissed.
Stacey, you have all the stories. You need to quit. Quit messing with those rabbits.
Hey, if you would, don't bump the camera phone because it's recording beautifully in sequence of fire. It's so pretty.
I'll try to stay between them. From keep them going between you.
Yeah, it's real beautiful. And it's 30 frames. Beautiful.
This is her.
Isn't it lit up?
Looks like you can have all the food. I'm just gonna walk over to it. Is it open?
I'll come with you.
That'd be great. The bear comes beside the parking lot too. Is that a bear at Tahoe? Oh wait, here's the dates.
But tell us some time travel, because I have one to tell you too.
Cool. You ready, Brian?
Yeah, it's rolling.
So, I'm the chauffeur for a Chinese Bagua master in Seattle.
Of course you are.
Dude, are you gonna ever write a book just about this is things I did? Casey would.
Maybe that's where I ought to start working, because the metaphysical stuff is not happening.
And every story starts off, I was a, you know?
When I was maybe that's the name. When I was
Oh yeah, there you go. Dude, really. But go ahead.
So when I was a chauffeur for the Chinese Black Log Master in Seattle, we had to go to Vancouver to buy herbs, and his wife was here from China who didn't speak any English at all. So she and I had been communicating psychically, and then we had this giant Chinese to English dictionary about 5 inches thick.
Right.
And we'd go back and forth in that, like we'd get a word and then he'd translate a sentence and then we'd just do the rest psychically.
Right.
So we were kind of in that mode, you know, because I'd been with him for 3 or 4 days, maybe a week.
Right.
And his son, although he spoke English, he was a silent kid. He didn't really say much about anything.
Yeah.
So the 4 of us are in my car, we drive up, and when you approach Vancouver up I-5, it doesn't have any freeways. So when you get to the city of Vancouver, you're just on surface streets driving across town, and you stop at all the street lights, and it's 2 lanes, maybe 3 lanes here and there. You get across the city, and then it's like an hour and a half from the border, and then you get to the city, and then it's another, you know, hour and a half to go across the city. And then you get to this beautiful bridge called the Lions Gate Bridge, with 2 big giant lions and these ornate, and it's a big arched bridge that goes across to the other side. So we drive across town, hit all the stoplights, go over the Lions Gate Bridge, go about a mile, and then turn right, and then mile went to the Chinese pharmacy. Because they can import some things in Canada that they can't in the US, and so that's why we were going there. So we buy the herbs and we have lunch, and then we go to the car, and we get in the car and we pull out of the parking lot. We're going down this 3-mile stretch before we make the left turn to go to the Lions Gate Bridge, and I say to them, you know, I think what we should do is go to the farmer's market, the Fisherman's Wharf kind of area, and just tour the area, and we'll have some dinner there because it's rush hour. I'm looking at the little clock right here, and it says it's 10 after 3. And,
where's your phone?
Oh, it's right there. We can turn it off. I'll call back later. So, 10 after 3. And they're like, yeah, right, okay, that's fine, you know, and no, they don't speak much English, so you never know how much of it actually got through.
Yeah.
But they all said yes.
Yeah. And you hope that numbers get through it.
So, woo.
Yeah. Cowland.
So we start driving down this 3-mile road, and all of a sudden, he's like falling asleep, and they're quiet in the back seat, and they're falling asleep, and I'm thinking, well, cool, that'll make it easy to drive across Vancouver, or they just won't, they'll miss it, you know? And the next thing I know, I'm on the freeway, like this, big open country, and the next sign says, and I'm thinking, wow, this is weird. And then the next sign says Whitehorse, which is like a half hour from the border. And I pull out the map and I'm thinking, whoa, I look at the clock, it's 20 after 3.
Wow.
Yeah, and I pull out the map and I'm thinking, whoa, did they put in a freeway since I was here last? And I just don't know. And I couldn't see anything. So then I pull off the highway and I'm looking at this map and I'm thinking, whoa, what just happened here? You know, because I'm like 2 hours south.
Right.
And so he wakes up and they're like, what's wrong? Are we lost? And I was like, not quite. I wouldn't say lost. And there we were.
That's weird.
In 10 minutes, we just skipped the whole city.
Wow.
And it was cool because everybody went to sleep but me.
And who knows where you went?
Oh, there was no, I mean, I just was driving. And it was just like my awareness was driving down a 2-lane city road that kind of didn't have much traffic, and it had trees alongside of it.
Right.
And then it was like this, just wide open farmland, and there was no transition. It was just like I was in one and then I was in the other.
Wow.
And they didn't know any different.
No, because they didn't know the area, you know. So we went to Whitehorse to the beach. Killed some time.
Awesome.
And the other one I had that documented like that was, and the key.
Say one more time. Okay.
The other time that I had something like that, and when I tell it, you'll see what the key to time travel is. I was in East Sound, and I had to go about maybe 3 miles, and then take a right-hand turn, and then I was going to Olga with my friend, and we were both in the cars together. We got in our cars in the parking lot. She took off, I followed her. And so we drove this 3 miles and drove down and it's a, 2-lane road, the entire, whatever it is, 16 miles or something. I get to her house and she's not there.
Right.
And I sit there in the parking lot of her house for like a half hour, 40 minutes, and then she drives up. And I said, "Where'd you go?" She goes, "I never went anywhere. I just drove straight here from town."
Isn't that good?
Yeah.
Could you do that now?
I've never been able to do it on purpose, but
Right.
but the key is you have to have this particular 90-degree angle with the right dimensions at the moment where you decide to do it. Like, if we had tried it on Route 21, we may have had that right angle component.
Right.
But you have to go 90 degrees and you have to raise the frequency on the short leg before you get to the turn. But I don't know how you do it well enough to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I can feel it. I now know what the energy signature of it is, and I know what makes it happen.
The story I have is not.
Hey, give me just a second here. Can I hear you talk now?
Yeah. Hello.
All right.
Are you testing out your wireless thing?
Yeah, I think that's noise here.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
Also, it was pointed
I'll
at
stay
me.
with this one.
Okay.
This is still noisy.
Okay.
I'll stay with this.
I don't have as long a period as you do by any means, and I don't even know if I'd consider mine time travel as much as Hinduism. I was at my sitar teacher's house, and she's a devout Hindu, and her husband's very scientific, and I don't think he buys into it. They're both from India, and they know they're from what's the Brahmin? They're Brahmins.
Okay.
They're high caste. They know. One day I was sitting there, and the head of India space program called them to chat. They know everybody. So I'm at their house one day, and I do a sitar lesson, and I really got into it, and it was really heavy. And right when I was leaving, I don't know what happened. I don't know what energy, what word was said. I don't know exactly what triggered it, but I remember saying goodbye to her husband, and then I don't remember anything for about half a mile driving out of her subdivision. And that time period was just gone. And when I was aware, I was like, oh my God, what happened? I felt like I'd been drugged. Like just drugged and had woken up from a drug-induced slumber or something. And I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? I didn't even know. And then I looked at the clock and no time, and it was right time. But for some reason I was gone during that time, and I was driving perfectly and gotten where I was going the way I always went. But for a good 5 minutes, I was out. I was not in my body. And I've had dualistic things before where I can, this happens to me if I go to my church, where I can meditate and then in my mind be somewhere else, or in my mind be doing something completely different. That dualism,
Yeah.
I've had that split several times in the last year, but those were with intention. I was studying how music affects church when they play certain songs and how it affects the tree. So I literally could be in the moment, but in my mind I could see the tree of life and see how notes light up and rhythms light it up. And I was doing both things at the same time. So I think that this was similar to that. I just don't know where the lost component was. I don't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
Like I was somewhere else, but I wasn't in my body. And my body was on automatic pilot doing exactly what it should be doing. So that's mine. It's not really time travel. It's just missing time, I guess,
So check this one out. it was a similar thing. I was chanting with this woman who used to be a nun. She was a Catholic nun for like 17 years, and
Right.
then left the convent to teach handwriting analysis to children. She was great.
Of course you did.
Yeah. Angelina Welk. She was Lawrence Welk's niece.
Wow.
Yeah. So she had written these violet flame chants, and she wanted to experience them with somebody else.
Right.
And when I would sit down to chant with her, I could make the energy happen so that she could experience it. Because she thought this would happen, but she didn't get to experience. She only was like creating it or projecting it, and so
Right.
she wanted to be the receiver of it. So anyway, we would get together and I would do her chants with her. So one day we're chanting this violet flame, and it was really a simple chant. It was
Right.
violet flame envelop me, release all disharmony. Hold on, dude, I'll get out of your way.
We do the same thing with violet flame in the Kabbalah Center.
Oh, cool.
We use it to burn off the impurities.
Yeah. So we're chanting just that simple thing, and we chanted for a long time. But okay, so I'm creating the energy of her words so that she can feel it and amping it up so that she can be swimming in it, you know?
Right.
So I'm doing that, and I'm also like experimenting and trying to develop my own relationship to my voice because of all these past life things. So I'm clearing that. And I'm also aware that I'm giving her confidence to use her own voice in a different way in her body. And so I'm monitoring that and kind of teaching her about that. And at the time, I was having this love affair with time travel and I was trying to make it happen.
Right.
And so I was thinking about, for myself, I was doing all that and thinking about bilocating. And I had asked Sai Baba to give me some information about it because I knew he could do it. And so people had told me, like I sat down with other psychics and they go, oh, this is a weird thing. It's like Sai Baba's sitting cross-legged in your crown chakra. So I knew he was like connected in some way. But, okay, so all that's going on. And all of a sudden, this little guy in a loincloth and a turban is about this high, pops into my, like right here, floating in front of my face. I've got my eyes closed.
Right.
And he's like shaking his head and going, what you are doing right now is so much more difficult than bilocating. You're crazy. You just think you can't do it, you know, and he was explaining to me that I used to do it all the time.
Right.
And that it's a no-brainer compared to what I was doing right then with all these different things I was working
Doing
with,
at the
you
same
know?
time, right.
And so he's laughing at me and he's sitting there. So he's meditating with me. He's like making fun of me asking Sai Baba for help. And so he's meditating with me and taking me to a whole other frequency, challenging me to be with him in this meditation while I'm teaching her in the chanting.
Wow.
And meanwhile, he's got this other dimension going on where he's laughing at me and making fun of me, kind of, you know, and another dimension where he's showing me these other lifetimes and reminding me of things that I've done and how to do it and stuff. I came out of that meditation and I was like, okay, life is easy after this. It was very cool. It did change a lot of things in me.
That laughing
day.
component is such a big part of the Hindu belief system. The bliss of spirit and being able to laugh, and also and it goes
The
through
playfulness.
the playfulness and the jokester and the fool, you know, it all just goes together in their belief system. And my friend Alok is just big into that. He has that spirit of being able to laugh at everything, and it's so innocent, you know.
I've had experiences though of the razor's edge of that same component with Hindu friends.
Yeah.
There's another component to that's, you know, like in a positive way you could say it's just so not codependent. But in another way, I almost feel like it's so disconnected.
Oh yeah.
Like they scare me because I realize that they are not gonna participate in some some dance of communication that I'm used to depending on.
Right.
That's an interesting component, and I've never really grokked it fully, but I've had the experience a lot with my Hindu friends, especially Sikh friends, especially Sikh and Hindu friends.
Right.
And it just unnerves me when it happens, because it leaves me so totally and utterly alone. It's almost shocking.
Alok can tell you all about that. He's explained that before. I don't remember what he said. He's very much in tune with the fact that even though India is the like one of the spiritual powerhouses of the world, because everybody there is living spirit. You know, they're doing they're not worried about things. They're doing things for spirit. They're at the same time they're not going into the higher evolution. They're not pushing the envelope that they need to be. That they have become disconnected, and Alok sees that so clearly because he studied all these other religions and mysticisms, and he understands where it has to go, and he just believes that a lot of them are just stuck in this.
It's a disconnect from
disconnect.
the personal action.
You still have to,
really interesting.
you still have to live this life, and you still have to participate here, and you have to evolve here.
It's almost like it's a surrender to the inability to change things.
Yep.
Like they're so used to not being able to change things
That they gave up.
that they take advantage of these energies, and like they cheat each other and
and then
cut corners and
Alok and my Sator teacher will tell you about that. They are very shrewd, but they have to be. There's a shark. There's there are fish swimming amongst sharks.
yeah, that's that razor's edge of it that almost scares me when I come up to it, because I know that they aren't going to hold through on the integrity line or on the truth, or like you said, raising
Yep.
it to the next level.
Hey, so Stace, is that why you're learning the Vedas?
Vedanta. Yeah, the Vedas will be part of it. I'm learning. I don't know why exactly I'm learning. I'm just very excited. I'm going to learn.
No, meaning like you're gonna help search for an answer.
I don't know about that. I know that Alok has a center in India that he's going to start, and he's laying the groundwork for it now. But I don't know if I see myself in it, but who knows? You never really know. I have a little karma debt to pay off until I'm probably about 50 something, and then after that I'm wide open for doing different things.
How old are you now?
40,
When did you turn 40?
May 17th. How old are
That's
you?
Norway's
I'm gonna be
national
43.
day.
I'm gonna be 43 in another couple weeks.
Yeah.
October 18th.
Oh yeah, October 18th. We can't ask Casey because she changed her names and burned up all her records.
No, she'll gladly tell you.
How old are you, Casey?
51.
I was not aware. I had no idea how old you were.
I like that.
Now I'm 40 and I feel like I'm 33. You know? I feel good.
I forget. I do.
40's the new 30.
Yeah,
So, 50's the new 40.
at least. I love it when I'm hanging out with 29-year-olds or 30-year-olds, like
They're so much more aware
like
now.
Emmy.
Some of those kids are very aware.
Remember,
Like,
Brian, when Emmy was there?
Yeah.
Were you there the night he asked me how old I was?
No.
He was so funny. He was like, no way. He thought I was 32. Really, a lot old, like too old for him.
you were flattered.
Like you're really old. You're 32.
Yeah. Guess again.
And he was 25 or something, right?
Yeah, I had it happen at Cosmic Kids too. Somebody was talking about the shows they saw when they were a kid, and they were like, "Oh, you're one of us too. You're in your 30s."
And you're like, no.
Like,
I was
no,
watching
actually, I
Howdy
don't
Doody.
know that program. I never saw it. I was boycotting TV at that point.
That's funny.
tell their age, and I just don't understand it. You know, it's like,
No, I don't get that either.
I mean, you can tell that they're obviously younger than they look, so why not tell it and get the full benefit of that?
Exactly. I've never been worried about getting old. I don't get the whole deal.
My sister couldn't wait to turn 40. It was like she knew her life was going to start then.
I feel like my life is starting. I feel like I'm starting a new part of my life, and that 40 has nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not a limitation like it should be.
I feel the same way.
Good.
Yeah, like I'm just now getting to a level where I can function with my purpose.
Yeah, and you know,
Yeah.
I've
we
been
all,
hiding from my purpose.
wouldn't it be great if we'd had this awareness at 20, but that's when you're learning. That's when the awareness is happening.
Yeah, youth is wasted on the young.
It is wasted on you. I agree.
I love youth.
This is the nice thing about being a Capricorn. Capricorns start out old and they get younger as the years go by.
There you go.
So I did not waste my youth. I was totally an old person until I was like 48.
Well, yeah, you did 1,000 things.
I did.
Soon to be in a book called Back When I Was, or When I Was.
When I was a
...
No, it took me, I started my awareness exactly when the traditional thing for a male to start it is 35, my 7th cycle, or my 5th cycle. And that's when my awareness really started, you know. I'm 2 years out of the end of my next cycle, and I'm exactly in the cycle where I need to be.
7-year cycle?
Oh yeah. 7-year cycles, man. That's why the Kabbalah wouldn't talk to anybody until you were at least 35 or 38.
Well,
And
You mean
it-
the
so
teachers?
42 will be my 6th, end of my 6th.
Yep.
So does 43 begin?
A new cycle. Yep. 43 is your next new cycle.
Although if you really count it right,
Counting right is not.
no, if you really count it right, 7 years starts at age 7, then starts at age 14, starts at age, so it would have started at age 42.
Yeah, you're right. So you're about a year into your cycle. Your newness. But you are new. Don't you think?
Yeah.
I think you are. Don't you think he's new? It's been a rebirth. You had to be able to show mercy and forgiveness in order to even learn the mysticism of all. And you know, that was a trick back in the old days.
Yeah, thank
It's
God
still
we're
a trick
having several
now.
lifetimes during this one.
You know, it's still a trick now, but it was really a trick way back then. When eye for an eye was the law of the land. So this highway's like this the rest of the way, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like one big city,
Yeah, one big
shopping mall.
shopping mall. This is Generica.
Generica.
Welcome to Generica.
Where everything's the same.
Why don't we write? Well, let's write a Generica song.
You just wrote it. In and out.
Corporate headquarters.
That looks like a corporate, yeah. They've got a little store, but
And right next to Mopar. What else do you need?
Burger in a car.
Generica, Generica.
God.
God. Walmart.
God built a Walmart here. God was an American.
And he loved In-N-Out burgers.
God is an American.
Or a Generican.
He's a Generican.
In Generica.
He's a corporate Generican.
Antica.
Look at all these bridges all in a row. Bridge, 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 bridge. Train bridge. Pedestrian bridge. Grain bridge.
military hip call.
Wow.
Bruce, it's Casey. I'm back in reception. Bye. Hello. We're just back in reception now. Doing great. How are you? I am on I-5 driving south. It was great.
There's a cow. There's
Holy.
several cows. All eating. Great cows.
This is your little oasis, Stacey,
Yes.
in the middle of the desert.
Should we try Carl's Jr.?
That's pretty serious.
There's Subway too. That's probably Carl's Jr. is Subway.
And McDonald's.
I want
Hold on. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about your new message.
All right, so say it again.
Dot dash. Dot dash. Boomerang, which is like, it's a boomerang that the boomerangs really don't have a point, but they have a round like center, and these are this way, that way, like that.
Oh,
And
like
then-
an arch.
Like what?
Yeah, like an arch, like that. And then half a triangle, just the left half of a triangle, like that. So dot dash, boomerang, boomerang, half triangle. And then dot dash, 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 boomerang, boomerang, half triangle. It's a repeating message. Like it goes over and over. It's on a loop.
You want to write it out for me?
Yeah, I will when we get to the
I've got a pen right here.
Nah, I'll do it. I'll do it when we get to your house. I need to think about it. I keep searching to see if there's anything else, but that's the only thing there is.
Where's this coming from?
I don't know. Started last night, continued this morning.
You dreamt it last night
No, I did not dream it. Just
Where-
appeared.
when we were at the stars?
No, when I went to bed.
And how's it come?
I just see it in my head. It had a lot of trouble focusing in.
Is there sound that comes with it?
No, It's in black and white. And a lot. You know what? The trouble focusing in was the throat chakra stuff. What's going on? Communications kind of garbled right now.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's your new one. That's your latest one. I think that's a repeating loop. That could be a warning signal. It could be a message that's just being impacted upon the earth continually right now. You know what I mean?
Could it be happy birthday to Mr. Pugsley?
Absolutely. I think it's saying his real name is Oscar. Oscar. His real name is Oscar.
He's the king of our race.
The galaxy's
The
on the
galaxy's
belt.
Those symbols, and so my head just went there, you know.
Right.
Go ahead.
So the dot dash, what I got was your the part of you that feels stable and goes with an idea, and then the dot is the part where you second guess it and give that second little meaning to things. So it was like stable, clutch, stable, clutch, stable, clutch.
Okay.
And then the next two symbols were the rune for opening, and particularly opening to relationship. And then the part triangle is an astrological symbol that has to do with a very particular way of relating that is very specified and actually has very few meanings. It's just this very particular way of relating that happens between two things that are close together but don't they're related by location, but they don't know they're related. And so it sets up a very distinct type of relationship that's kind of feels incongruous to the components that are being related, but looks totally the same to something outside looking at those two components. And so to me, that was a sentence about how you do relationship and about the nature of your growth in relationship right now.
I can see that, but it wasn't a message to me, I don't believe. It's a universal message. So are you relating it on that term?
Well, I think that is the universal message right now with Mercury and Libra and these eclipses.
Yep.
I think that's the relationship. That's the message about relationships. That's the current point of growth for people on this planet.
I can see that. I get no sense for that message, and I didn't get any sense for the other one that I got either.
Yeah.
I did get another.
No, you told me the other one that you knew it was something to move from the fourth to the fifth world.
Well, that's so vague though. That doesn't mean anything. I mean, I think all these messages are that, don't you?
That's the reason we're alive, is to move to the fifth
Exactly.
world. So everything is about that.
I think all the messages are that. That's kind of a vaguity.
Vaguity. Can I
vaguity.
quote you on that?
Yeah, a vaguity.
I like that word.
It's almost like a Vegemite sandwich, but not quite. A vaguity.
Biggity.
There is another symbol that came up last night that was not attached to these symbols, and it was the cross with a circle, but then with an X through it. And it was pinpoint. I know this one. I think this is pinpoint.
Was the X inside the circle or beside the cross in the circle?
Inside the circle.
So it switched from a cross to rotated to an X?
Yep. And I think that's point of grounding.
Those are both astrological symbols too.
Well,
And
we'll have to write it down when we get home, and you can look at it, make double share on your end, and
the cross is the symbol for the earth,
right.
and the X inside the circle is a symbol for a way of being that creates abundance.
Well, there you go. And that symbol's separate. But that symbol was its own little sentence. It had nothing. You know what I mean? That symbol was a whole sentence, whereas the other thing was a sentence of different components. Does that make any sense?
So was the X in a circle or just by
The
itself?
X, it was in the circle, but it crossed over the circle also. It wasn't on top of it. It was in it. You know what I mean? But almost like crosshairs for a gun.
Oh yeah.
But it was point, you know.
Well, that in the astrological symbol, it is X marks the spot. This is the point. It's like the target. It's the bullseye.
Right. That was what I got from it. This is the point. It might be, I don't know.
And by the way, you could say that phrase, "This is the point," in another meaning too, about that astrological.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm wondering if you're dreaming in symbols that I use so that you can give me the message
Very possible.
to initiate something that we can talk about.
Very possible. But I'm not dreaming. It's a state between dreaming, sleeping, and consciousness. It is not. I'm not asleep yet.
Oh, that's even better.
It's an impression on my mind from wherever.
It's an access point.
And I don't. You know, if I was more open to it, it'd probably happen even more. I probably just need to start paying attention to it. But no, it's not a dream. I might have described it that way because it's the easiest way to describe it to somebody. But it's prior to sleep, and it's part of my insomnia is the impressions I'm getting at nighttime.
Oh, you probably should start writing them down, and then they could get some sleep.
Maybe so. Maybe so. I can run so many scenarios at nighttime when I'm trying to sleep. Scenarios about anything, and it literally, my brain is just it's working hyperdrive, and it's been doing that for half a year. And there was around, let's see, when was it, around February or March of this year, there was a huge energy burst that put everybody down. You know what I mean? Oh, it made me tired. And ever since then, I've had that.
And you know what that was?
That action.
That was when Uranus went into Pisces. And the planet Uranus makes everything electrical.
Yeah.
And Pisces is the area of the sky that's about just pure energy, like the soup of energy, like the ocean of energy that we're swimming in. And so it switched from being a watery kind of energy field that we're inhabiting to being an electrical energy field.
Oh.
And that's going to go on for, I forget, 12 or 15 years.
Well, that also enlivened my brain at nighttime, and it made it. Dude, I have insomnia, and there's nothing medical to do with it.
No.
It is purely my brain being active. And I really, as much as I crave sleep and want sleep, that's a human thought form, really. I don't really need to sleep.
And you know what? I've been doing the same thing. Just keep telling myself over and over, take a deep breath. It's an illusion. You don't need sleep.
It's absolutely an illusion. But unfortunately, it's hard to make that. But that transition's the whole deal, But it's hard to make.
It's critical.
But I'm getting to where I realize when I wake up in the morning and I haven't slept well, I'm just trudging through the day because I know I can. Because ultimately it doesn't matter. I haven't gotten good sleep since that period. I haven't. I wish I could have. Every now and then I used to have a whole, once every 6 months I'd have a night where I went to bed at 9, and slept. And that rejuvenate. I hadn't had that.
Forget that.
Yeah, that ain't happening. My mind, when I try to go to sleep, my mind awakes, and it just electricity everywhere.
But I find that the more I do appropriate things with the information,
That might help.
the more I do get to sleep. But it isn't necessarily like from 10 o'clock at night to 7 in the morning anymore.
Oh, yeah,
It might be from 3 to 5 in the afternoon where I get to just stop and sleep. And it's really deep. but it seems to be related to my receiving.
Right. Well, I have another task I have to do when I get back to Atlanta. I have to find a volunteer agency and start working. And that's just...
Do you know what area of life?
There's two areas that I'm looking at. One is hospice, and one is dogs and shelter type work.
Like taking care, like giving love to the dogs at the shelter that don't get it?
Well, that or you know, cleaning up and
yeah, just being there.
Yep. And of course, giving love to the dogs. Hospice at some point is part of my life. I have to do that. And I saw an ad the other day for some hospice work that I might check out. That is, and understanding the death cycle is important for me to prepare for my parents to pass away.
Yeah.
And my mother has some issues that I really, I'm trying to help her through, and it's like talking to a brick wall, and I'm struggling. But even if we can't get anywhere, I have to be prepared for the death cycle. So that's part of that whole deal. But it's good to understand the death cycle anyway. It's good to know how that works, because man, there's a certain pattern to that too. There's a specific thing that happens, you know. But
that's a difficult territory for me, because I spent, you know, probably until I was 45, consciously going into people's death with them to help them get out.
right.
It's really easy for me to go all the way in there, and I finally, when I was working with a guy with Lou Gehrig's, I finally realized I couldn't go in that far anymore. It was costing me too much. Like, it was too hard to get my frequency
Well,
back
you
up.
probably did your service and got out.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, to me, I think it's not something you could do all the time. You would burn out on it.
Yeah.
And that's the way I'm going to approach that hospice thing. The way they set it up in the ad that I saw was it's a very limited thing, because I think they know people burn out. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's not something you want to do all the time. Yeah. But if you
It's a low frequency.
oh yeah.
Are you sure you're okay for it, Stace?
What'd you say?
Are you sure you're okay for it?
What do you mean?
You're okay, your energy's okay to handle it.
My energy's
You're gonna
fine.
have to do it.
My energy's fine to handle it. It's doing the actual work. I just hadn't decided to do it yet. It might not be now. It might be.
Okay.
No, I'm not worried about the energy. Dude, I'm Taurus the Bull. No matter how much I'll get run down, I can get right back up. That's not. I'm not even worried about anything. This insomnia is not helping with energy.
About it anymore?
Yeah, I was about to say. I don't think it's lost forever. I think, you know.
No problem.
You know what I could do as a kid, and I could still do it.
Twizzleman Road, that's where we are.
They're right. That really tells you a lot, doesn't it?
What could you do?
As a kid, I can still do it to this day. I can see people and immediately go and be them and feel their face and be like, have them just. I used to do this as a kid, and I was like, one of those things you can't describe to other people, but you get it. But literally, I could like see people and feel like what it was like to be them. I could feel the face and how the hands would look. You know, like you see out of your eyes, you see down. I could do that with other people, and it was one of those things. I saw a guy actually do one of the guys that helped me as a guy, and I don't know where this guy is. I can't remember his name. I got his book at home, but he did a seminar, and I think he freaked a lot of people out, because he basically got out there and said, you know, all this lightness and goody-goody stuff that's not going to get it. You've got to realize the dark and the light and how they work together. You know. But that terrified people at these new age things, because they're lightness and goody-goody. Oh, Well, he did a shape-shifting thing where literally he was on stage and you could watch him, and he said, okay, watch. And dude, he became 20 different people in front of you. And I never will forget that. And I was like, wow, you mean that, you know, that sort of cued me in on that was a real deal that people could do. And it goes back to when I read that book, No Boundary, realizing that we are all one. And if we knew how to tap into it, man, you are all one. We're all connected. I can, you know, I'm just as much you as you are me, as this truck. You know what I mean? And there's this connection, there's this incredible thing that if you knew how to ride that wave, you could do all that stuff. And of course, I think that's part of the evolutionary thing too.
Yeah.
And not that you would ever become someone else, but just to know those things, to know that connection is out there, that we are all one, that everything you can be as someone else. You can look through their eyes, you can understand it. And that leaves the door open to compassion. When you can look through somebody else's eyes and understand what they're going through.
Well, that is compassion.
And you can know compassion. So to me, that's just, and then when I heard the Dalai Lama speak on forgiveness, it moved me, because it just once again made me aware of that thing that we are all one, that forgiveness, you have to learn to forgive yourself. And if you can do that, you can forgive other people, because we're all connected. So that's how things like that grew. You know, even as a kid, I knew that there was something to it. I didn't know what. You know what I mean? But
So, bingo. You just said something to me that you totally didn't say. But there was one past life that came up in my genetics, not that my spirit had ever experienced, but that my genetics were connected to. And it was a lifetime in like Jamestown, Northeast, where this woman was accused of being a witch.
right.
And she got pregnant, and there was a townsman, a man in a position of power, who didn't think it was appropriate that she be killed,
Right.
and so he stayed the execution long enough for this child to be born that she was pregnant with, and it was separated from her. Then they took the child, and unfortunately she lived for a while after the child was born, and then they executed her. But that is in my cellular structure, and someone thought that was connected to this breast, that someone in my 20s had been harsh to me verbally, my partner had been harsh to me,
Right.
and it triggered that genetic component into manifesting very slowly. And what you just hit on there was the forgiveness piece, that I needed to find the cellular component of forgiveness for that woman to forgive herself
Yep.
for abandoning that child, even though it was taken from her and she couldn't have done anything about it. In the cellular structure, she abandoned that child.
Right.
And that piece of forgiveness would shift the genetic component in there.
It is amazing what human beings will blame themselves for, and where the guilt will lay on themselves for, when it's a lot of those things are outside their control. But they do blame themselves, and they never forgive themselves.
Every woman is in charge of the babies.
Yep.
You know, and that's a strong cellular thing.
Well, I'm glad you got that piece of information.
Me too. And then you ask for the parents' higher selves to actually see the soul of the child. And then you do the flip, you do the reverse, where you ask for you to see the truth of who your parents are, and ask for them to see that you receive that. You see what I mean?
One more time, please.
You got it on tape, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't. So when the child's born, the child is the gift that the child has to bring is the solution to the karma between those two people. And sometimes it's the three, but because of the way history is right now, often the child is just the fulfillment of the karma and is here to give the gift so that all three can complete some sort of soul level contracts and agendas for the earth. So the process is you talk soul to soul through the higher selves, and you ask the two parents' higher selves to come forward and to receive the soul level gift that the child is to them. And then you wait for a few, you wait till you get contact there and dial it in. And then you ask for the child, for your higher self, to acknowledge that it's been received, and then to see who those parents truly are and see the gift that they bring to you on a soul level. And then you do it in reverse.
And what's the reverse?
Same thing, but you just then you talk to the higher selves of each parent and ask them to to see and accept and who they, it's basically you just make sure that the soul level gifts get exchanged at birth rather than at 40 still trying to get it seen. Because that's what, if we had birth in its sacred way, that gift would have been,
And Rambunctious high school kids, they just started watching them going, oh, isn't it precious? Give it a big old hug, give it a big old hug. When they would like hold the fabric. So that's where that comes from.
oh God.
So it's really two of my friends,
Hancock fabric.
Hancock fabrics, watching the Indian women touch the fabrics and hold the fabrics.
Wow.
And that's where it comes from. Oh, isn't it precious? Give it. And Charles Fuss used to always say this phrase, and I thought it was hilarious. He'd say, Gaga, no. How that ever came into being, I don't know. But it was Gaga, no.